continue from where we ended the last time.
Okay.
This lesson is actually towards our preparation for AWS Solution Architect Associate Exam. And today we are looking at DevOps from our book, chapter 10. So, DevOps, let's get the background of DevOps. Now, we do a little reading so that after that, we explain what it means. Now, DevOps is a hybrid of software development and operations combined. DevOps is a set of practices designed to increase software release speed and quality. Additionally, DevOps practices are used to automate deployment in the form of infrastructure as a code. DevOps is a collaborative process designed to deliver code changes more frequently and reliably by breaking the cycle into manageable segments. DevOps uses a continuous integration and continuous delivery method, which refers to as automating all the stages of the software development process. By enforcing automation in all phases of software development, companies can better enhance business goals and customer needs. Now, realize that DevOps is not an architecture, but then cloud architect and solutions architect should be familiar with DevOps practices. Well, this section allows us to discover some DevOps tools. Now, AWS provide native CI/CD tools, including AWS Code Pipeline, Code Commits, AWS Code Build, and AWS Code Deploy. So, a little explanation of what I just read. Now, from the beginning, realize that it's talking about a hybrid development process. Now, what is the hybrid is talking about? Continuous integration and then continuous development, continuous integration and continuous delivery. Now, realize that in times past, there was a problem with how a team build a software, the software development process. When I want to build a software and when I want to deploy it, whether in a traditional way or in the cloud. See, because it's a separate idea, it's a separate architecture, you realize that you go through a lot of back and forth, because development itself has its own process you have to go through. Some people use the waterfall, the agile, what have you. They have a lot of process to go through. In the other way, when you come to the operations side, if you are delivering it, they have a lot of process you have to go through, back and forth, back and forth. You launch it, you realize there is a mistake, you go back. So the essence of this is to bring the software development process and then the delivery aspect together, in the sense that whenever I want to update, it shouldn't be as before we came to DevOps. When I want to update my software, it means I have to develop a new thing and then launch it with a different version. But then in the process of or utilizing DevOps, it means that I can easily, with the use of code commit, I just have to change. If I want to change some few things, I just do a few changes and then deploy it or deliver it. So it makes development and then delivering of software very easy. So that's it from my end, Robert. If you can add
Okay.
something to that.
Yeah, with my idea about DevOps, as building from what you've already mentioned, you realize that hitherto we had the development team separate from the operations team. And I think that's exactly what you were explaining. And developers focus on building the software, whilst the operations team will focus on deploying the software
Mhm,
for use. And there was some kind of a gap between development and operations because each each of the team will have their own schedule or plans. So, for
mhm,
instance, the development team will make an update to the software or any product they are working on. And unfortunately, according to the operations team, they are not ready to do an update, or I mean, they are not ready to deploy something at the moment because per their schedule they are probably doing something else, and that may take them a very long time before they end up pushing it. What if this was a bug that needed an immediate fix? That means it's going to affect the product that is out there. So that is what brought in the concept of DevOps, where we have people with both development knowledge and operations knowledge, so that we bridge that gap. At the end of the day, we all want the same goal. Whatever company, whatever products that we are pushing, we should be able to do it and do it timely. So with the concept of DevOps, where we are talking about the continuous integration and continuous delivery, we ensure that at any point in time, the flow between the developers and the operation guys or team, it's that consistent, and there's no break, there's no lag anywhere. And these are the tools, as you are mentioning, there are a number of tools that would help us achieve all of these. So AWS by themselves have their own proprietary tools, and that is what we are exploring right now. So we can see that we have the code pipeline, code commits, code build, and code deploy. So essentially, we are here to try and make sense out of what each of these tools does, and at least appreciate how a DevOps engineer, as they are called, would work. Because if you are the solutions architect, we expect that before you architect a solution for a client or an organization that you belong to, you also need to appreciate all the other individuals who are going to work hand in hand with you. And this could include um, the developers, it could include a DevOps engineer, it could include the operation guy. So you need to have adequate knowledge about all of the steps that are involved here. So that's what I have to say.
Many times, did a great explanation over there. So we pick the tools and then explain what it does. So first
Mm,
of all, we are going to look at code pipeline. What I call is code pipeline. So AWS code pipeline is a continuous delivery. From our beginning, we talked about continuous integration and then continuous delivery. So
mm,
code pipeline is a continuous delivery service that quickly automates the software release process without upfront cost or long-term commitment. Code pipeline can integrate with third-party services like GitHub and many Amazon services, including S3, AWS, AWS Code Commit, and Amazon ECR. The software release process can be modeled using the command line, CloudFormation, and SDKs. Code pipeline can deploy software faster, increasing cost saving that come from a more efficient workflow. Obed, can you take this for me? I'll join you in a minute. Can you take this?
okay, okay, sure.
I
All
have
right,
to reply a message.
all right, that's fine. Okay, so personally, I haven't seen the practical use of code pipeline before, or I've actually not thought about it before. But I think with the points being made here, that it helps us automate the software release process. And just as I was saying, the gap that hitherto existed between the developers and operation guys was the fact that there are usually some form of delays between the release of the software, because as at the time that the developers would have gotten the software ready per their own schedule, the operation team may not be ready to push out something. Okay, because uh, I think that in an organization, obviously after development, you may want to do some form of testing before release and the like. So that gap exists between the developers and the operation team, and this service or tool that AWS is providing is going to automate that process. So we don't need to rely on team members necessarily to be deploying the tools, but the software or products that we are building. But this is going to automate the process. And one thing we know about automation is that anything that we are able to automate, we are able to reduce the we reduce the probability of errors. Okay, the extent to which we may get errors are reduced, and I think that would be one of the advantages. And once we are reducing errors, we are definitely going to save cost. Okay, because it's like a streamlined process. What I don't really know practically how it works, but I hope to find out soon. But I believe that once we are done with the software, developers are done, there is a streamlined process that this code pipeline will help. I mean, the word is pipeline. So you can imagine it as some sort of a pipe. Developers are here, then the final product. So once you develop your software, put it through the pipeline will then ensure that continuously we are getting the service delivered. Okay, so that's what I think about it.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, that's fine. Please do continue. Give me some few.
all
Let me
right, all
join.
right, sure. So AWS code commits. With code commit, the word commit, at least I have knowledge on commits from using Git or GitHub as well. And saying code commit is a managed source code management, obviously. So GitHub as is like the popular source code management platform, or I mean, Git is the popular source code management technology that we all know about. So code commit is essentially going to be a platform as a service that offers source code management that securely hosts Git repositories. Okay, so that means that it's more like a competitor to GitHub. Once I've created a repo, instead of going to push it to GitHub, I may it's possible that I keep it on code commit as well. So AWS Code Commit provides a highly available and scalable architecture that supports all Git tools and plugins. Source code is encrypted in transit and at rest. Okay, so very important the fact that it is encrypted in transit and at rest. So if you're uploading it and once it is on a platform, it's always encrypted, and that provides some huge form of security for the code. Then the source code management is a critical component of the DevOps lifecycle, enabling teams to seamlessly track and improve code modifications during the entire development process. Using a fully managed repo improves performance by eliminating the need to build the underlying infrastructure. Okay, that also makes sense. What we are looking at here is the fact that even in recent times when we have a lot of remote work, we look at it from this angle. There's a number of developers working on the same projects, may not be in the same location. However, they are working on the same project. So, with the help of source code management service like AWS Code Commits, they are able to keep track of the changes and work um, synchronously with each other so that we don't have any challenges putting together these things. And I think what catches my attention here is the fact that it's encrypted in transit and at rest. I don't know if it's same for GitHub, but at least this is a point worth noting. And the fact that it's also fully managed, that means that we do not take care of it. It's not as like you, the developer or the solutions architect or whoever is going to use the code commit. Your business is just commit your code. I mean, push your code out there. You don't have any worry about how to build it, how to ensure that code commit is always running and is not giving issues. So the underlying infrastructure is hidden from us. I think that's also a good one. Okay, code build. Code build. So we've talked about pipeline, which was code pipeline. Talked about code commits, which is like the pipeline is the continuous delivery. The commit is like source code management. And now we are looking at code build. It's a pre-designed build environment where customers can test code Wow. With continuous scaling on a per minute basis. Compatible programming languages and automation tools include, but are not limited to, Python, Go, Apache, Maven, and Gradle. Okay, so this is like an environment where you test your code. Okay, as I'm seeing Marvel and Gradle here, it's pushing my mind back to in Java we have what we call the runtime environment, the JRE, and I think this is giving me an idea of that sort. Code build is the environment where you can test the code that you've written. So if you've tested the code, how are we sure that the code runs, or how do you run it? Because I know that for a language like Java, you can run Java without the JRE, which is the Java runtime environment. So you need that sort of environment to be able to do it. And for some other languages, all you need is probably an IDE, an editor. So I'm trying to believe that the code build in this sense will also behave like an IDE and like a runtime environment if we are talking about Java. Then with the help of continuous integration tools, the creation of applications is faster and more consistent. So here they mention continuous scaling. So you test code with continuous scaling. Then on a per minute basis. Okay. With the help of continuous integration tools, the creation of applications is faster and more consistent or reliable. Sustainable software development improves quality and reduces risk. Sustainable software development improves quality and reduces risk. Yes. Then code build can be used on the AWS code pipeline console to run tests and produce software packages. So that means that when the software is built and we want to go and deploy it with the help of the AWS code pipeline, we can use code build to test the software and produce the software packages whilst pushing it through the code pipeline to deploy it. Code build can be used on the CLI or the AWS SDK. Okay, so that means that the command line interface for AWS, we can actually use code build there. We don't necessarily have to come into the AWS management console. That's good. So the idea I've gotten from reading this basically is that the code build is like a runtime environment for testing applications, okay, or some sort of IDE. I don't know if it will qualify as an IDE, but that's what I think, like an IDE for testing of the programs that you write. Okay, code deploy. The name here, deploy, in just thinking about it, is like it's going to help us deploy our code. So the question I'll ask myself even before reading this is trying to find a difference between the code pipeline and the code deploy. Because here we said that with code pipeline, it automates the release process with continuous delivery service, continuous delivery service that automates the release process. So now let's take a look at what code deploy will help us do. It's a service that helps automate code and software deployment quickly by eliminating errors from manual operations. So here it is about the software deployment. Software deployment, basically the software is done and we are going to release it for our customers, end users, to have access to it. Okay, so it depends on probably where you're hosting the software. Is it an Android app? Are you pushing it to Google Play Store? Is it something that you're hosting on your private server, or is it something that is public and it has to be on a server that is public? How do we move it from where you have created it to your source, where it's supposed to be for your customers or users to have access to? I think that's what code deploy will automate. So if we use code deploy, you can say that, okay, I'm thinking a lot. We can configure it such that as soon as our code or software that we are building is ready, Like the whole process of me, okay, let me use with my experience with website design. You can build a website offline. Then once you are done, you push it online. Okay. So I'm thinking that code deploy is like after I'm done building a website, I have to go buy a domain name, purchase hosting, set up the hosting, create the necessary folders, do use the FTP protocol to upload the files. So I'm also thinking that code deploy is like I'm automating this process. If assuming I need to buy a domain, I need to set up hosting, I need to do FTP uploads and things. All of these things will be automated with the help of code deploy. And that means that you don't do a lot of these manual operations, because if you are to do them, there is a chance of committing some errors, blenders here and there, or oversight here and there. You may end up committing some errors. But if you're able to automate the process, then you cut down on these errors. I think if that is how it works, then that is a great tool. Code deploy can be used on premise and with Amazon EC2, Fargate, and Lambda. So those are various compute services that code deploy can be used on. Additionally, code deploy can scale to match software deployment needs. So as your software deployment needs goes up or higher, code deploy will scale up. If it reduces, it will also reduce as such, just to meet your need. They say code deploy on track can track the status of application deployments and provide details reports via the management console or CLI. And push notifications can be created to view live updates of deployment. Okay, so you can do a search that it gives you updates on exactly what is happening. Have you been able to? I'm just using a hypothetical example of launching a website. So have you been able to purchase the domain? Have you been able to set up the host? What about the FTP account? Is it working? Is it active? How about the uploads? Are they working? Do we have any challenges uploading any of the files or not? And at the end of the day, if everything is successful, then we'll be informed about it as such. These are the native CI/CD tools. There are other tools used by DevOps engineers. A comprehensive list of DevOps tools and what those tools perform can be seen here. So you can actually go there and check. But we are concerning ourselves with what AWS has to offer. We have like 2 minutes. So let me just do a quick recap. We talked about code pipeline, code commit, code
Okay,
build,
I'm back. So
and
you can. I'm back.
okay,
So you
okay,
can do
sure.
the rec.
All right. All right. So we have 2 more minutes.
All right.
Do the wrap up with
Oh,
what we have talked about. Okay,
go ahead.
what I have seen.
I was actually returning
Okay,
some messages with my boss from work.
okay, that's fine. So what I've
So
seen
bring
is
me on
that
point. Okay.
okay, what I've seen is that with the services that we are talking about, at least the code commit stands on its own, so it becomes easy for you to appreciate what it does. The code
Mhm.
commit is source code management. So once you have knowledge on what GitHub is, it's like GitHub, or yeah, it's like GitHub, a platform where you
Yeah.
can deploy your version
Code,
control, source code.
source
Yes,
control,
there.
but AWS specific.
Yes. And I
All right.
mentioned
This is
that the fact that they mentioned encrypted in transit and at rest. I don't know if it happens in the
cool.
other ones, but at least it was worth noting that. Then with code build, what I picked from here is the fact that it's used to test code with continuous scaling. And
Okay.
I going through the number of languages that have been mentioned here: Python, Go, Apache. This Marvin and Gradle, I came across it when I started learning about Java. And Java has something we call the Java runtime environment. Without that runtime environment, you aren't going to be able to test your Java codes, because
Mm,
when
mm.
you create your Java code, you have to convert it into what they call, is it binary code or something? I've forgotten.
So
Something
to
like
that
that.
regard,
But it
could
happens.
it be something like an IDE,
Yeah, that's what I
Integrated
was also
Development
thinking.
Environment?
Exactly. So like code build is more like an IDE, because for Python you need an IDE to run it. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's an
But then
IDE that you can use.
the aspect that gets interesting is that this one support actually multiple languages.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
And I think it wouldn't be the only one because the time is up. Let's quickly finish. It wouldn't be the only one that supports multiple languages because there are a lot of other IDEs that also have the capability of supporting
Support
multiple languages.
multiple
Except that some
languages.
of them you'd have to install several extensions for them to work with the other.
Exactly, exactly, exactly,
But
exactly, exactly.
out of the box, code build allows you to test your code from various languages. I think I saw
Mm.
somewhere, is it true? I think I saw somewhere up to about 50 languages, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, okay,
Probably it's not this, but I've seen something like that somewhere before.
okay.
Okay, so that can also be combined with the pipeline. So the pipeline, as I was using the analogy, is like a pipe, okay, that we are using for continuous delivery. When we build our software or when we are building our software and we are delivering it to the operation guys, like there is this continuous pipe there that we don't have to wait till we are done and we carry everything and bring it to you. We have automated that process. So as soon as something is ready, it goes through, is delivering it. Then those that will be in charge of deploying it will also come in. So that's how I see the code pipeline. Then finally, we talked about the code deploy, where that one we are trying to automate the deployment of it. After the software is ready, we've tested it, everything is working. How do we get it to the end user? So I was using an example of say we are building a website offline. After building the website offline, which is like the software that you have built, you have
Mm.
to make it available online for your end user. So we are going to automate the process of say you are going to buy a domain, you are going to purchase hosting, set up the hosting account, do all the necessary cleaning, FTP uploads of your files, and setting which one should be your home page, if there are security groups that needs to be done, blah blah blah, just to make sure that everything is working for your end user to have it. And all of these are a lot of processes that are involved in the deployment. So we are trying to automate that process so that you don't spend
Absolutely.
much time bringing
Okay.
any errors. So I think that is
Uh,
what code deploy
uh,
is. So at least
oh,
there are four major of them: pipeline, commit, build,
commit,
deploy.
build,
Build is for
deploy.
testing your code. Commit is for source code management. Pipeline is for continuous delivery so that we don't have to wait till we are done before we now move it to operations. Then
Mm.
they will now be surprised. Oh, we aren't ready to do anything about it, so let's keep it. No. But once we are doing continuous delivery, it's like, oh, they are aware something is in the pipeline, something is in the pipeline coming. Then when everything is ready to deploy it, we also automate the process of deploying it with the code
To
deploy.
deploy.
And I think
Oh,
maybe later is our knowledge on it is limited because we don't know much about DevOps, but
exactly,
probably
exactly.
later when we discover a lot about DevOps, we are likely to
We
appreciate
attend
them.
to it and appreciate
Yeah.
it. All right.
Yeah, so I think we are done with DevOps, at least the four services.
Okay.
Hopefully, when they ask us questions about it, we'll be able to answer. Unless if it's a scenario based question that we are yet to face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. All right. So the
We
end.
go over to compute services. Which of them are you going to work on?
We're going to do the practicals, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So should I set up the Microsoft use the Microsoft server,
Okay, the
and
server.
then
Okay.
yeah,
All
and
right.
then
Let's see that.
use the website with it.
Okay. That will be fine. Oh, what's the chapter for that? So you are going to share your screen. Let me
All right.
unshare my screen. Okay.
Can you see from my screen?
Yeah, it is available
All
now.
right. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to launch a server, a virtual machine, which is
Okay.
basically an
So
EC2.
I'll come. I'm starting another 25 minutes. So let's do a
Oh,
quick
okay. Then I have
run
to go
through.
with it. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're up, you
Yes.
tell me.
Yeah. Let's start.
All right. So this session we are looking at how to install an IIS on a Microsoft server,
Okay.
in the sense that what we want to do is that we want to host a website in a Microsoft server. So what we are going to, in our server we are going to use is, as stated earlier, we are using an EC2, an EC2. So we come
Okay.
here. So let me go back so that we start, for it to be easier to anybody who is starting afresh.
Okay.
Sorry about the internet. So to locate our EC2 instance, we go to services. We have a lot of services here. From my left side, you realize we have analytics, we have all our services here. But then we are looking at compute. And the compute, we want EC2. So click on EC2. So what is EC2? It's just a virtual server, a virtual server, a virtual server. So over here, there are a lot of things you can see here. From the left side, you have instances here. You have images. We have our block store, which is our storage, specifically the images, which is AMI, Amazon Machine Images, our security, load balancing, if you want to use load balancers. And if you want to scale our network, we can see all those things here. Now, I click on the dashboard, EC2 dashboard. This is what I see. Now we have our instances here. Realize that we have 0 instances currently. Our elastic IP, that's the IP we attach to our network, our servers. Key pairs. To access any VM, our virtual machines, our server, we need to use key pairs. So along the way, I'll introduce you today. And placement groups, snapshot, whereas when you want to take a copy of your machine, dedicated hosts, have instances, have load balancers, security groups. Security groups actually allows you to do what you want to do. So going through, we'll come to that. If I launch my server, for example, using Microsoft um, Windows, you realize that if I want to RDP into it, RDP is just Microsoft way of accessing their servers. If I want to RDP into it, then I specify that I want to use this port to access my server. And then we have volumes, which is hard disks. So we click on instances. We don't have any instances here. So what we do is to launch a new instance. So to launch a new instance, we go to launch instance, click on it. Now the new interface, this is how it gives us. You see, you can opt out to the old interface, but we want to use the new interface. Now my web server will be called Microsoft Microsoft Web Server. Now, as stated earlier, I want to use, which AMI am I going to use? Now you can take a quick one. You can take one from the marketplace. You can even use the one you've created yourself. I want to take that of Microsoft. Now, Windows Server 2019 base. Realize that any activity that is performed on my left side, there is a corresponding effect that takes place on my right side. Now, Microsoft Server 2019, over here you can see it, 2019. This is the AMI ID, and realize that AMI ID is specific to region, and we took 64 bits. These are just the ones that are given to you, but you can change any of it. You realize 2019 bits, I can change, I can take a lot of them. Containers here, standard one, I can take the enterprise, I can take the standard. So you have the option to take anything you want here. That's the essence of cloud. Now the instance type, T2, T2 micro. So that's the free one. I can change it, T1. I can take the T2 nano, but then for the sake of our course and for free tier, I would choose the T2 micro. That's the type that I want. If you are not okay or you don't know much about instance type, we've discussed that in our previous session. You can go back and look at it. Now, the key pairs. Realize I told you that before I can access my instance or my server, I need to use a key. Before, just take it this way. If you have to come to my room, you have to use the key to open the door. Now, to access the server, you have to use a key to open it. Now, over here, realize I don't have any key here. So what do? If you have already created some, you insert it. Once you click on this arrow, it shows down here. But then since I don't have any key, I create a new one. So I'll call it Microsoft key. Now we are going to take the PEM file. We are going to take a PEM file. There are two types, but we are taking a PEM file. Okay, create the key pair. It's downloaded. So it's downloaded to my local machine. Okay, you realize that automatically it picks it. It picks it. So network, what are you going to do? I'll edit the network. The default VPC is taken, and I have only the default VPC, so that's fine. No preference under subnet. Subnet is where we want to place our server. Realize there are a lot of this basically zone. So we have a lot of them. This place we have about 6 according to the region. It's region specific, so note that it's region specific. According to North Virginia, I realize over here we are on North Virginia. If you go to maybe South Africa, if you go to maybe Frankfurt, that Ireland, if you go to different places, you realize that they have different subnet or availability zones. So I will choose no preference, or I can decide to choose a specific one. If I choose no preference, it automatically assigns one to me. But if I want a specific one, then I choose maybe A or B or C. So in my case, I will choose no preference so that it assigns it automatically for me, right? So over here, auto assign public IP. What does it mean? Now, for us to be reachable on the internet, public IP needs to be assigned to our server. If I disable it, which means once I launch it, I won't be able to access my website on the internet. Note, it's very crucial. Based on your requirements, you do the right thing. Now, security group. So security groups is just a firewall, if I should put it that way. It's a firewall on your server. A firewall on your server. So we are creating a new security group. I don't have some, so we'll create a new one. So what name should we give to our security group? Microsoft web servers. This is my keypad. Security group. Yeah, good. Now, description allows us to identify our server. So my Microsoft 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 web server. Now, inbound route, I explained this earlier. By default, it blocks every rule. Nobody can get access to you. But then, how do you want to access this? If everybody is blocked, which means we can't access our instance. So we want our server to be reachable via RDP. RDP is Microsoft way of reaching instances, remote desktop protocol. So RDP is okay for me, but then alternatively, I want to use let's say the web. I want to use the internet, so I customize it by adding HTTP. So over here, I add HTTP. HTTP is port 80, and who should be able to access it? I can customize my IP, but then I want it to be open anywhere. Realize that if I say I want everybody to access it, I get this rules with source of this open IP. This IP means everybody should be able to access my IP, my server. If you in a corporate or enterprise world, it's not appropriate. But then, for the sake of my example, permit me to use space as an open way of doing it. So this is my allocated storage. 130 gig, and the root. I can change it, sealed. I can increase it to, let's say, the number I want, but then let's take the default one. 30 will be okay. All right, that's all we need to know. Now I launch my instance. So let's wait. Unfortunately, after their update, it takes some time. It said success initiated launch of instance. Wow. So let's look at our instance.
I'm also following by practicing,
Yes,
so
I
you,
can see
you
I can
see,
see Microsoft test server
yeah,
also pending
yes,
here. That's
yes.
fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's interesting. Have you realized that after the update, it takes some time before the server starts working? Have you realized that
I can't really
after they changed the interface?
the I know it takes some time, but I can't compare it to
To
previously
the
because
A4
I
one.
didn't
Oh,
really
okay,
pay attention to it.
okay, okay. There has been some changes. It takes some time.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, I'm sure we are working
Yeah.
within our time. How far? How many minutes
We
gone?
have 11 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I've wasted time.
Okay,
Uh,
so our server is launched now. Status check is initializing.
Status checkers. Okay. So let me take a quick intro down here whilst we wait for our server. Realize that we can get the details of the instance here. General details of the instance can be found here. The IP address that we use to locate our instance over here, both private and public. The host name over here. The VPC is attached to assigned IP address. We have no IAM rule connected or assigned to it or assumed rule to it. The AMI ID, the Windows server type. So any information you need about my server is right here. You can equally go through step by step by going through security, where you able to see the security group. networking, where you'll be able to see network resources and activity storage. You see everything that pertains to storage, EBS, status check. You see, we are still checking, but realize that our check that we are waiting for is in two folds. We have the system check and we have the, how do you call it? The system check and the instance check. Yes, there are two. So instance check and then the system check and the monitoring.
Okay.
If you want to monitor our system, you come down here, you see our system is faring, and tax. Tag is just a key pair value something. So if you want to be able to identify your server, for example, I tag my server as Microsoft server. Any place I go, right here, I'm able to distinguish it between what Dr. Obed just created. You see, my test server and mine is Microsoft server. So that's the beauty of tags, to identify your server. That's awesome. Let's continue. Okay,
Still
so
not
what
done.
can we do? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So over here, the instance states, you can go through this. The instance ID is here. The instance state is running. But then the instance type is T2 micro. The status check is still waiting alarms. You didn't place any alarms on it. You can place alarm on it if you rate this percentage alerts me through maybe simple notification or email. You can do that. Our zone, when we chose no the preference, no preference, this is what happened. It assigned us to US East 1B, and then our public DNS and public IP. We didn't attach elastic IP. Now, the difference in elastic IP is that when you attach elastic IP, let me come this way. Mostly when you shut down or reboot your server, what happens is the IP address will be changed. So in this case, what we want to do is to, if we attach an elastic IP, it means that whenever it goes down, our server goes down or comes up, or when we reboot, it gets the same IP address. We didn't assign any IP version 6. We've disabled
I
all.
think the status is ready
It's
now.
up. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. All right. Okay, 2 by 2 check. Okay, so I go into my server. Now I want to launch my server. There are a lot of ways you can launch it, but then let's click on, I've selected my server. You click on this, it's selected, and you click on connect. So here we are. I mentioned earlier we're going to use the RDP, remote desktop client or remote desktop protocol, to access our server. Now, what we can do here is connect using RDP client. Now, if you don't have the software, the RDP client, you can download it here, but I already have it on my desktop. That's the beauty of it. If you are using Microsoft, you realize that you have it already. Now, these are public DNS you are going to use and username. Now, to get the password, you see there's a highlight thing here, password, get password. We click on it, get password. Where's my password? We used, the name of my password is what? MS key. So I browse it. Where did I place it? Right here. Click on it. What we are doing here is we are encrypting it. You see, this won't be making sense, but then I have to, it was encrypted, but then I have to decrypt it for it to give me something that makes sense. Right? Right here. I have my, don't worry, I'll be deleting it. I know I'm showing you my password, but then I'll be deleting my server right after I'm done with this. Now we have everything. So what we do is to launch our RDP. So go to your Windows, type RDP, remote desktop connection. Now the computer. What's the name of my computer? Public DNS. Copy it here, and then you paste it here. Now to add the username, click on this arrow, show options, and come back, copy administrator, and then paste it right here, and then click on connect. Now it requests for what? My password. I insert my password. Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. This is what every architect is looking forward to.
Relax for me, I'm coming. Um, hmm. When I try the connection, when you get to the computer, that's when you copy what is it? The public DNS, right? You
Yes,
copy
that
the
will be the
public
name.
DNS.
Yes, and
Okay,
insert it.
that's it.
And you click on the arrow down there.
The
Can you see
arrow.
the arrow? Yes, and you
Mm-hmm.
paste in the administrator, or you can type administrator. But then for the
Hey,
beauty of copy and paste,
I couldn't. Hold on. Let me share my screen
all right,
so
you
that
can
you
do
check.
that.
I mean,
Okay, I'm ready to help. All right,
share.
I have to stop sharing first, right?
I don't even know if it will permit. Uh, okay, so you said stop sharing your screen. Let me see.
Yes, I've done that.
Oh, so is this my?
So you can now share
It's
your
coming
screen.
from.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry. Hey, which no, what's happening here?
Why your screen can't be shared?
Hmm. Okay. S- uh, the thing, how how the things are presented on the screen right now, I can even hardly find my way around. Oh,
It is all right. So once you launch the RDP, the RDP is open, right? Hope you went to connect and now you have the DNS.
I didn't see where I'm going to put I
Did you
mean,
encrypt?
the username.
So you copy the public DNS. Do you have the public DNS?
Yeah, I do.
Can you see the public? So copy the public DNS and place in the username or something, the first one.
The first one is computer. So I've placed
Yes,
the public
yes, yes,
DNS.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. The
exactly.
username just came. It wasn't there initially. Initially, when
Really?
I did, yeah,
Okay, when you click on the arrow,
yeah.
really,
Okay.
and then you click
Then
on
I go
connect.
to connect. So
Yes,
initially it wasn't there, so I couldn't connect.
it happens. It happens. Realize what happened during the weekend during our tutorials.
Yeah,
if
now the password.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you insert the password and you connect. So I can go back to
Uh,
share my screen,
yeah,
right?
share your screen. Yeah. Let
Okay.
me try and figure out why this thing is. The arrangement of the interface is different now. See,
Really? Is my
I,
screen shared?
you see, it's supposed to. I'm supposed to
Can you see
find it
my screen?
somewhere and I can't see it. I'm supposed to.
Oh, but can you see from my screen?
No, I'm coming. So
I
that's what I was
shared.
talking about. I'm coming. I know, like, I've gotten notification that you have shared your screen,
Oh,
but
okay. Okay.
unfortunately, I can't find where it's hiding now because I'm supposed to add it to the stream.
Mm,
And that's the problem. I don't know why
I
he's
have-
sharing. It's like it's by default sharing my screen one.
Really?
Oh my goodness. This is not cool. The time is even up. Huh.
Oh,
I'm coming.
all right, all right.
Hopefully, I should. Okay, now I found it. Oh god.
Tech can at times be frustrating.
The screen to be shared. That one we are hiding. Foster. Which one is your screen? Will it be this?
Why?
Hey.
It has a multiple screens there.
Yeah, you know you've launched a new screen, a new desktop. So it's saying
Oh,
that one as well. But that's not even the problem. It's down. Okay. So now let me show this. So this is your new screen that you have launched. I mean your Windows server that you've launched.
yeah. Or do I have to close it and log in again? Or
Not necessarily. You
oh,
know,
okay, that's
okay,
so can
so the other screen is blank.
okay.
Yeah, but you can continue. Let's see
All
what you're
right.
going to
So
do with.
so 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 what I actually said earlier was we are going to host some simple websites with my server.
Okay.
So basically this is the environment of our server, Microsoft server. It's 2019 version. So you come here, you access your server manager. It's opening, it's launching. This is my server.
Sorry, why did you go to I didn't see that.
All right, so go to click on the start
Okay.
button
Okay.
and then server manager right here. Can you
Oh,
see
okay.
it? That's
Yeah.
fine. So click on it. If you are
All
okay,
right.
then
So
you told me to continue. Can I continue?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so we come here. We add rows and features. We are adding a new row and features because we have to set up a server for internet. There's something called Internet Information Services. So we
Yeah.
want to install it. So
Okay.
add rows and features. Before you begin, okay, we are adding new. Okay, continue. Next. No, what you are going to do is role-based or future-based installation. That's what we want to do. We want to configure a single server by adding rows. Okay. Server selection. Server is selected automatically. EC2, Amazon machine image. Now, what type of server do we need? We want a web server. And realize that there is an IIS. IIS is Internet Information Services. What is Internet Information Services? It's a Microsoft way of hosting. If you want to use Microsoft Web Server to host a website, you use
Mm,
IIS, Internet Information Services.
mm.
So we add features. All right. Next. Okay. All right. Okay. So it has automatically picked some dependencies to be installed. Just like if you are an IT person, you know that mostly if you are installing something, at times it has to grab certain dependencies. So it has done that for us. So next, and then we click on install. Are you with me, Obed?
Yeah. But
So you click
I've
on
I've not gotten to that step yet, so
okay.
I'm
So
trying to follow.
click on
I'm
next,
currently on
row service or web
selecting
server role.
the I'm coming. Let me
All
let
right.
me quickly try and catch up. selecting
All right.
the server. So I've
Okay.
selected the
Web
server
server.
rules.
Okay. And the
The
features.
server rules.
Click. So basically, you are going to click on next from where you are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
So you
think
get
there is a delay. I don't
installation.
know if it's my network or what.
This morning, mostly, this morning I tried the Microsoft. I don't know. I tried the Microsoft server and it was a bit slow. But then this afternoon, I think it's this morning. Sorry, it's working better.
Okay.
I tried it earlier this morning. It wasn't working that best.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine.
Are you there?
Yeah, install.
So click on install. Yeah, click on it.
Okay.
So what you are doing is you are basically installing
Like IIS.
web server. Yeah, the IIS,
Okay.
which is the Internet Information Server, which is an extensible web server software that was created by Microsoft to
Mm,
support web stuff. So that's the reason. Because we want to host our website,
okay.
basically we have to do this. Installation in progress. So whilst we wait for it, do you know something? Let me go back to my local machine. I have
Okay.
I have just a simple HTML here. Let me claim this from it. Mm, This is a basic website. It just shows me welcome to my web server. That's all.
Okay.
So I've opened it, and yes, we are back. So you have to copy your HTML code as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
I actually don't have one right now. Let me create one. Yes, square.
So with I don't know whether you are okay with this. Space exclamation mark exclamation mark and then enter. It gives you the format and you just insert something little in it.
Mm, yes,
Oh, it's keeping long this time. Okay. Let's keep our fingers crossed whilst our installations gets finished. Okay. So succeeded. Obed,
yeah.
succeeded. So I close it. Now I realize that I have IIS here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me lower this. I don't need it. Now I search for what did we install? IIS, right?
Uh, mm,
So I search for it. Oh, but I'm sure you are with me, right?
yeah, I'm following.
Okay. So you click on IIS, Internet Information Services. Now this my machine. So I click on it
Okay.
and I come to sites.
Okay.
Click on sites, default website. I click on default website. Now on my right side, can you locate this place over? Can you see from this side?
Yeah, I can see.
So you click on browse port 80. It opens a website for you. This is the default website.
Okay.
This is this will show some blue something something. I
So,
don't need this. So I don't need you guys. So by default, you get this space, you get this screen.
okay. Okay.
Oh boy. Hope you saw that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Very good.
Mine
So
just
now,
finished installing, so I'm trying to follow up with what's
all right.
happening.
So catch up and let's continue.
Um, I am at where I'm supposed to select the server.
Okay, click on it, and you see sites, and you click on sites. Click on default web server,
I'm clicking on it, but nothing is happening. Nothing is
and find
happening.
working with VMs, and you see they have
Coming in.
okay. So default website.
No, no, like it's not loading. Am I doing
Oh, why
something
should it
wrong?
be? At times it happened. This morning I counted that right now I think it's working fine, and so I think it could be. I don't know
Hmm.
why it happened that way.
Let me see. I'm coming. Let me.
Today our website
I'm trying to
hope
share my screen. Let me share my screen. When I'm done, I'll share yours. Okay. Oh, this is not the screen I'm looking for to share.
I have to go and share before you can share, right?
Not necessarily. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this is the screen.
Oh,
So
okay. So no,
mhm.
you can hide this one. Hide this one.
I should hide it.
Yeah, yeah. Place it on the bottom. The bottom, yeah.
Okay.
Minimize. Okay, minimize. So
Oh,
you realize
so
that
this thing is behind it.
yes, this so close it so that you
So
can
when I
you
click
okay
on it, they open, but
a
it's
lot.
just covering it.
All right. So
I
what
don't
happens
know.
is
I know.
since it's open, there's no need to go back. Else, supposing this page has not been opened, since you
Mm.
installed Internet Information Service, you can just search for it from the start
Yeah,
button,
that's
right?
so that's oh okay. But I actually searched for it. I
It's
searched
it's there. IIS.
IIS. Yes.
It's there. So let's go back to it
Okay.
and click on the server.
Okay. Okay.
Click on it
Then
again. So
I should
actually,
click on it again.
this should be the C panel, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So click on the machine again, the server. It's not
Oh,
responding. I think there is a arrow here.
okay.
Side.
Size.
Yeah.
Okay.
Click on default
Before
website.
size.
Now come to your right side and click on
Uh,
browse for
browse.
AT.
Okay. Okay. So let
So
me
this is the
show
default.
your screen.
Okay. So that's the default website that you have.
Okay.
Okay. So now what we are going to do is we open Notepad. You can use any writing tool to do it. I just have the Notepad as handy, and I paste my code. I copied
Oh,
some
okay.
code I told you earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
So I save it on my desktop. And what name should we use for it? Since it's a
Oh,
website, we use index.html,
mm,
and you save. Make sure you choose the all files and you save it on as desktop.
mm,
Good. Now when you're done, we close our notepad. Now what we have to do next, realize that the root of our website is now hosting the default one. So we need to change the default index to what we've just created.
okay.
So to that regards, we go to our drive C. Realize our drive C is where our programs, everything is installed. So we go to drive C and we go to inetpub. This one, INETPUP. Can you see it, Obed?
Nope.
You are not there
Hey,
yet.
sorry. I've minimized the screen so I can hardly see your screen.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, okay. Yes, init pub. Okay, I've seen it.
Yeah, NetApp. You click on it and you go to our root, which is www
Oh, yeah.
root. And
Okay.
well,
So we can
and
now
here's the root. So we
paste.
delete this one
Hey, where
and we
did this
replace
one
it
even
with
save?
this one.
Eh, I can't even see my HTML file. Where did it go to? Okay.
I should have stopped this one before. I didn't stop it, but I just stopped it. You can stop it.
Okay, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to where I saved my HTML file.
You should place it on the desktop. You can do it and then
So
put it on the desktop.
yeah,
Because
I'm
in case
going to save. Okay, so you went to documents.
all right, that's fine. So you can copy it, send it to drive C, netpop, and then www roots. Are you there?
Yeah.
Have you finished?
So I now have to go and stop the server.
Server.
Then restart it.
The web server actually, not this. Okay, the web server. Okay, so now
Stop.
are you through?
Start.
Okay, so now we can start.
Refresh it. Yeah. Yeah.
You started it. So now
Yeah.
let's go to uh now when I launch my serve browser and I type localhost, let's see what happens. Welcome to my server. Yay, we made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we've been able to launch a virtual server, a virtual machine with Microsoft Server 2019 version. After that, we managed our resources by installing a web server, which is IIS, which is Microsoft's way of um, hosting a website on their server. And then after that, we made sure that the website which was there was the default one, and later we replace it with our own simple web server and our website basically did welcome to my server. That's all we did. So basically that's all for now. So
Mm.
Dr. Bed, that's
Yeah.
it for my end. So if there's
Yeah.
anything you want to
It's
add.
not really. It's a nice experience. Actually, with IIS,
It's funny mentioning that name.
it's not easy. If you want to say it fast,
Yeah,
tongue twister. IIS. With the IIS,
yeah.
I came across it, I think, somewhere earlier this year. So I was
Okay.
looking for an alternative way to run my PHP based software
Mm-hmm.
because usually some of
Microsoft.
my clients have the XAMPP crashing, and
Okay.
I hate to hear that because once XAMPP crashes, usually recovering the data is a bit difficult.
Mm,
Most often than not, the tools that you would have to use are paid, and
okay.
most of them will not be able to afford that amount. So they tend to lose the data. So I've been trying to find a way to host it without XAMPP. And till now, I still don't have an option. But one of the ways I came across was using
Use the
IIS to host a website. But
okay.
even though it's able to host this, I think the other challenge. So this is like an Apache web server. So IIS will be comparable to an Apache web server. So the other
Mm,
challenge would be how to host the MySQL database with it.
okay.
So
Okay.
now that we've explored it here, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for me to go and at it, like using a normal Windows machine and trying to do it and see if there is a way that I can figure out the MySQL connection. Probably install just PHP my admin with it, and I'll see if that works. I don't know if that
Okay.
works, but
All
I'll
right.
look into it. I think there is this
Okay.
guy on YouTube that has a lot of videos on IIS in particular. So maybe I'll just take my
Okay.
time to
Okay. Okay.
go and
Okay.
watch it.
All
Yeah,
right.
but it was
That's
a
fine.
nice experience.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. All right. So that brings us to the end of our
Oh,
class for hosting a
okay.
website, a basic website on Microsoft Server.
Right. I
All
think
right. So
now at least we have the experience with the EC2. So looking at the other services, what is left under the compute?
having the S3 with CloudFront, we haven't done that.
S3 with okay. No, so that was under security. Okay.
Yes. Uh, so, okay. So now you're looking at compute, the compute aspect, and with the code pipe and with the how's the name, the DevOps tools. I'm sure we are not going to go through now the practical aspects.
That for now, no.
Yes.
I don't think.
So, which means we have to either consider some of
But
the
where will you
content
put where will you put Lambda and Fargate? Where do they fall?
they are under compute.
Uh,
But then,
mhm.
I think they are also mentioned during other services.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at what we could possibly be discussing on Sunday. The serverless stuff too.
Hey, it's almost 12.
Yeah. Right. Alright. So we should probably take a look at them and see what we'll discuss on Sunday. And
All right.
hopefully, yeah. And I think we have to also revise for tomorrow's bootcamp.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah, good
yes, yes.
news. Mm, today, I have a lot of meetings, so I'm going to take care of them first. Then when I'm done.
All right. All right.
Okay, thank you so much for your
Personally, I
time. And
think around 1 2, I have a meeting with my boss.
oh, okay,
I just
okay,
you see, I told you earlier that I have to return some messages. He actually
yeah,
wanted us to have it quite quick, but then I told him that Ali, we have to do it
mm,
after work. Yeah. So I'm
okay,
returning back to, and then let's make sure we go through the resources for tomorrow.
yeah, yeah. Well,
All right.
all
So
right, thank you, and
thanks.
see you
All
some
right. See
other
you.
time. Bye.
All right.
Bye.